Oh boy, I did it to myself.
Illustrations by me.
So I think, yes, you're all right and I'm all wrong. I get it. I went ahead and I said, look, I like the Daniel Smith paint better than the Schminke super granulating. I like the Daniel Smith PrimaTek paint, and some of them blast off onto the page wonderful when I swatch them out. Then when I put them on certain paper, they do tend to look a little bit lighter. But I want to think, here's what actually happens. After you swatch it out, you've deteriorated a lot of the dot. You've diluted it, you've gotten rid of it, you've dissolved it. And what I've noticed is when you go back the second time and you go to wet it again and get some more paint off of there, it doesn't exactly work very good. You put it on the page and it's too light. Maybe it's the paper, maybe it's the way you're doing it, who knows. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you two different paintings I did with the Daniel Smith PrimaTek paints. The first one, very simple. I only used a couple of colors, and I just wanted to see. I don't know why. I had this picture in my head of this little tree thing with this thing like coming down on top of it, just kind of eating it from the top and going down. It don't. You'll see. It's not very good. It's not great. But the second one, I do something that I normally do with just fill the page with color. I put in some detail, and you can see where maybe that falls, and some of it came out great and some of it didn't. Some of them are very vibrant and some of them were less vibrant, but that's okay. I knew that going into it. Look, these mineral paints don't always dilute exactly the way you want. They don't always get the concentration you want, but for the most part, I was very happy with these. Let me take you into these paintings and show you what I did. Alright, so the first one here is very, I don't know, I don't know exactly what I thought I was doing here, but whatever it was, clearly it was not fully thought out in my head. I did want to leave some open space. I did want to have this tree kind of thing that started out in the beginning and then have this other thing kind of fall on top of it, which I've already told you. But I wanted a little background, and I probably should have put in a sky. Should have probably put in some more dark details like I wanted to do, but I didn't. Once I got to this point and I was done, I was just said, you know what, this one's done for me. Let me go to the next one. And then I started to say, okay, now I really want to put in some detail here and do this whole page thing, and I put the border around it. Like this first one, I probably should not have put the border around. Doesn't really matter. But I did, and just the bottom is the only thing touching it. But as far as the rest, the other one, the whole thing, I filled the whole page with color, and then, which I like the border when it looks like that. I think that looks interesting. And then I kind of try to make some composition, a little bit of attention in certain areas, and try to put as many details as I do. And I do these all the time. These are very easy to do. I do encourage you to do these. And one of the things that it makes it easy are these granulating paints. These Daniel Smith paints, or any granulating paints, it doesn't have to be them, but these PrimaTeks in general are very granulating. So when you put them, and there are some that aren't though. You know, that there are some that you put down, you think they should be granulating, but maybe they're not. But the ones that I'm using here, they all seem pretty granulating to me. And I tried to, in this first one, I did the fuchsite and I did the kyanite genuine, and I like those colors, the way that they sparkled. I wanted to see if I could use them with the sparkle. Now typically, I know I go back and forth on this, but really listen to me, I do not like the sparkle paints as much. I can't really find a use for them, but if they're in the paint, that's fine. It's just another point of attention, another thing that grabs you and says, hey, wait a second, maybe this is something to look at. Maybe it's worth looking at. And I want to make sure that I put that in there if it is. And it started out okay, and then it kind of got a little ugly, and then it got a little better, and then it got ugly again. Don't worry about that. But in the other one, the other one I wanted to point out, when you use these granulating paints, it makes it very easy to do these. So look at the second one when I get to that one. And pay attention. If you're new to this kind of thing and you want to do something abstract, using a granulating paint really helps, because it actually granulates and shows you where to put your lines. So anywhere that it puts a little bit of a darker shade, you just put some lines, you put some detail. And then the other part you leave as like a highlight. You just let that highlight. It's just, you can do this very easily with these paints, and that's one of the things I absolutely love about them. I hope that you try this. And I don't know if you use granulating paints, or if you use the PrimaTek line, or if you use the Schmincke line, or if you use any other one. Every watercolor company has some kind of granulating paint from what I understand. Maybe not Mission Gold. If you use Mission Gold, please let me know in the comments down below. Let me know, because that's I've never, well, I can't say that I've never tried that. I forgot. When I had a little palette, and I bought a palette, and two of those little Mission Gold came with it. One was I believe it was a red. It was some kind of red. I think it was yes, it was a naphthol red. And then I used, then there's a cerulean blue as well. But the cerulean blue is not cerulean blue. The cerulean blue is really like a phthalo blue. So it's just a lighter phthalo shade. It kind of makes it look like, okay, yeah, I could use this as a sky blue, but it's not really the cerulean blue that you're thinking of. So it doesn't really granulate. At least I don't see it granulate. And then the naphthol red, that doesn't granulate either. But those are the only two. And I put those, when I got those with the palette, I had the separate Daniel Smith set, the starter set, with the Quinn Rose, New Gamboa's, Pearl Scarlet. It had the French Ultramarine, Phthalo Blue, Hansa Yellow Light. And then I added like a Quinacridone Burnt Orange, the Payne's Gray from the I think it was the Winsor and Newton Cotman series, Payne's Gray. I added that to it. And then I had a couple more Cotmans that I added, like the Raw Sienna and then the Light Red, which I love those colors. They're beautiful colors. I have no problem using them. And then I added those Mission Gold colors, those other two colors. Now, the thing is, I've heard that Mission Gold doesn't have any granulating colors, and I don't know if that's true. I know that they have a French, or I'm sorry, they have a regular ultramarine, and that usually ultramarine granulates, but I don't know if it's a mixture color, because a lot of their ones that other companies use like a single pigment, they use multiple pigments, and I don't have a problem with that. We're going to do another video about single pigment versus non-single pigment, but I've spoken about that before. You know, artists tell you, oh, only use a single pigment paint, and then they tell you not to use any paint out of the tube and to mix it with another color before you put it on the page. So they're basically telling you only get single pigments, but you better mix it before you put it on the page and make it a double pigment or a triple pigment. So it's just a strange thing that artists say sometimes, and they're oh, well, yeah, but if you have a single pigment to start with, then you know how it's going to react with this color. No, you don't, unless you put them together. And guess what? If you have a color that is a multiple pigment and you put it with another color, you'll see exactly how it's going to react before you put it in your piece. Just test it first. Just take a look at it. Maybe not going to put another video out because I'm ranting about it right now and just telling you, listen, this is a problem for me. I don't understand this. I don't understand why people say this, and then they do the exact opposite. And then they tell you, yeah, but the single pigments, you know what it's going to react to and how it's going to... I know what that's going to be no matter what. Even if it's a multiple pigment color. If I test it first, I know exactly how it's going to react with the rest of my palette. I test all my colors together. I don't just sit there and put a color in there and wonder what it's going to do when I'm out sketching somewhere. I don't do that. I test it first, and then I put it together. Say, oh, okay, yeah, this does work good together. Maybe this one doesn't work good together, so I won't do that. But anyway, test things. Just make sure you know what it's going to do before it's in there. And getting back to that, Mission Gold, I have no idea if they have granulating paint. If you use them, please let me know. I'd like to know if they do. I'm probably going to get a few of their paint. Now, if you get the big tubes, the paints are pretty expensive from what I understand. But if you get that little starter set on Amazon, it's like a bunch of colors. I can't even remember how many. It was like 36 colors or something like that for like $50. That's nothing. But it's small tubes. They're smaller tubes. I get it. But that's nothing for a set of paint. You know, $50 for a set of paint or something. That's not bad. You have 36 colors and you can test them all out and see what they are. That's pretty good in my book. But when you use any kind of granulating paint, you put it down, it creates its own like, it's just strange. It creates its own texture, so you just follow the texture. So if you're new to this and something you want to do, get a granulating paint, put it heavier in some spots, lighter in other spots. It'll create its own texture, and then you can even go back into it with the same color or a different color and create an extra texture and then do something with that. I'm telling you that these are very easy to do, and I encourage you to try them out. So I'd like to hear from you. What kind of new projects are you going to be working on either the end of this year or the beginning of next year? What kind of things are you looking to get into? What are things are you looking to experiment with? I need some ideas that I can maybe do myself, and maybe I'll do them right along with you. While you're experimenting with them, I'll experiment with them, and we'll compare our notes and see how things are going. Because I look down the road and I see, what else can I talk about? What are the other things that I can do? And I have no idea how I've been talking for 3 years about this stuff, because most of the time I'm not talking about this stuff actually. I'm talking about other things that are going on in my life or things that I've experienced and what's going on. But really, like this year, I can tell you that I have no idea why, but this is the first year in this house that all of a sudden all of my grass in the front and back just died. It went from being it has to be cut like every other week and it's still growing strong and things are still going good, to all of a sudden dead. It just out of nowhere died off, browned out. And now I don't even have the kind of grass, or I never had the kind of grass that browned out. I had a different kind of grass, stayed green all season. Even during the winter, it would stay mostly green, just like a pale green, but it would stay green. And now all of a sudden, it just wiped out. See, that's the kind of thing that I would talk about on the channel, and then all of a sudden it would be at the end of the video, and all of a sudden everybody be angry because not the standard audience that's watching. You get a new person watching one of these videos and they're like, what is this guy talking about? Why is he talking about his grass? This is an art video. The guy's talking about his grass. What's the matter with him? But anyway, you know how it goes. But anyway, I've just not had a ton of stuff that I'm just talking constantly about the artwork itself, because I'm talking about other things. We're just having a conversation here. This is like sitting down with a cup of coffee or a cup of tea or whatever it is you like to drink, and just chatting with one of your friends, just talking and just, just shooting the breeze, whatever. Then anyway, what I really wanted to say is that I need some things to experiment with. I want to hear from you. I have a couple ideas, some things I want to do, but I want to hear from you, because I want to do some things that maybe you'll be interested in, and that way when I do them, you can say, oh yeah, that's okay, I'm very interested in that one, and you'll actually, you watch it, and then maybe other people are just going to ask the same question, but they just don't. So you ask the question, and then I can do that, and we're just going to have some fun. So hopefully this next coming year is going to be very fun. We're going to have a blast, and that's my goal here. We're just going to keep doing basically the same schedule that we've been doing, where I have a video every Monday, but not every Thursday or whatever. Those come sporadically sometimes. Those all of a sudden they just pop up out of nowhere because I had some extra time to create some extra videos, and that's how that's going to go. But if I don't have the time, I'll at least have the one video every week, just like I always do. And I want to know, what do you want me to talk about? I would like to hear that from you. Alright, thumb up the video if you're going to try using these super granulating paints that are not called super granulating, because in Daniel Smith they're called PrimaTek paints. But if you're going to use anything, any kind of granulating paint to try and duplicate the idea of allowing it to create its own texture, and you go in and just fill it in, and just give it a shot. Try it out and see how it works for you, because I absolutely love doing this. This is something that I really enjoy doing, and it's something very easy and almost, it's not really mindless, but it's almost mindless. You just put colors and shapes in on the page. And then after you've already done that and filled the page with color, then you go back in and try and make something with it. Then you try and use your brain and say, okay, where do I want to develop this thing, and where do I want to put it, and how does it want to go? And that's really all you do. I may do a completely separate video on this and do maybe like a real-time drawing where I'm just talking you through my train of thought while I'm creating this. And then you can see it, and maybe that'll help you. I don't know. Let me know if you want me to do those. If you want me to do something like that, I'll be more than happy to do that. In the meantime, I'm probably going to be testing out a few more things because I plan on picking up a couple more dot cards, maybe some Winsor & Newton, maybe the full line of the Schmincke, the standard line. How about them? Or maybe some of the Mission Gold, as I don't think they have dot cards. Da Vinci has dot cards, which I've always wanted to use and try. So I may get some Da Vinci paints and test them out. They have some dot cards. Most of the dot cards are like around $20, $25 at most. Most of them are not very expensive. You can try every color, and that way you get the color in front of you and down on a piece of paper, and you can see, oh yeah, these colors are the ones I'd probably use before you spend a ton of money on paint that you may never use because you don't like it. Once you get it and you're like, oh no, that's not the color I thought it was, that's terrible. And now I can't return it. I've opened up a tube of paint and squeezed some out, and it's not good at all. Alright, that's enough of me for one day. If you would like to join our community, go to illustrationsbypete.com. You can come in, you can put your own artwork on the site and promote it. You can find some inspiration in the free reference photos. You can just use them however you want in your artwork. You do not need to credit me. Or you can come into the forums and talk to some people and maybe give some advice and maybe find a little bit of information that helps you. So come check us out. Alright, that's about it for me. I'm going to go. I'll see you in the next one.